Hey, so this is a Guild X500 jazz guitar, big body. This tape is here because the mounting ring screws had stripped through, so the wood didn't have thread anymore, so I had to fill it with little dowels and glue them in and let it sit until it's completely dry, and then re-drill and remount. Over here, once I tighten the truss rod to straighten the neck out, that always brings the strings closer to the neck, closer to the frets. So the G string, I think it was the G and the D bottomed out. They were hitting the first fret. So I had to shim the nut up. But I was, what you do is I use this. I have a whole bunch of these. Someone gave them to me. It's a drill gauge. I don't need to use it. Plus I have about 5 of them. So what I do is I put this here, and then you tap on the end with a light hammer. So you just tap, 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 and you come on this end and tap, 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 tap. You don't whack it really hard because you could actually break, wood. You could chip off pieces of the wood if you whack it. Stratocasters, you have to be careful because it has a little overhanging piece, pretty much, and they break off if you hit it too hard. So I was tapping and tapping and tapping and tapping, and then I tap in this direction, and then I tap in the other direction. Tap, tap, tap. So nothing's happening. So then I took my soldering iron, and because it's bone, it's a very, very hard piece of bone. So obviously someone glued the nut in too much. So I heated the top with my soldering iron. I just laid the body of the soldering iron right here. Because if you warm it up, it helps to soften the glue. But if it's wood glue, it'll soften up pretty good. But if it's like an epoxy or something else, it requires a higher heat to soften. And I don't think I could go that high without harming something else. So then I heated it up, and then I started tapping, and now the nuts started chipping. See right there on the end, that's a chip. And this line across the middle is because the next thing you have to do is saw straight down the center. And the theory is you go straight down the center, and then you can collapse the sides. I've done this before. The sides don't collapse. If you can't get the nut out, the sides aren't going to collapse once you have a slot down the center. So, I suppose you could hammer it. It might, you could tap on it, and it may disconnect and, come apart, since it'll have room to actually move forward. But, so now I'm in the process of sewing the slot, and I actually pulled out a hacksaw. So if the slot gets deep enough, it's safe enough to use a hacksaw. I just, you can't have the saw jump off and hit the guitar. So you have to be careful. And that's not a problem. I'm not worried about that. So, and then, I'll have to make a new nut. As much as I hate to make nuts, but you have to do what you have to do. So, it's pretty nice. Nice guitar. I had to pull the potentiometers out and resolder some things. The tone control wasn't wired the right way. It was wired in a funny way, and it really wasn't working well, so I did that. And I actually polished the guitar. It was very, very layered and yuck. So, well, there you go. Alrighty. Have a good one.